Morning, folks. Brian here, Geomagnetic Earth Watch on Thursday, January 4, 2024 on our planet. Hope you're all well. So, folks, I'm going to repeat a lot of information on the effects of solar radiation on us humans, inhabitants of planet Earth. So, to some, this is a repeat, but I'm seeing that every hour almost, there's more and more people coming on here following me. A lot of new people, a lot of questions, and I'm happy to go through it again. So I'm going to redo a lot of my videos. I see that on Facebook there's an option where it's called Reels. Well, maybe I can use that to have different files so that subsequent new people that come on, you can go to that file or that reel and go through these videos. Otherwise, I'm also on YouTube under the same name, Geomagnetic Earth Watch, where I put all these videos on as well. So you can go there, subscribe, hit the bell notification button. So this talk is only going to be about the effects of electromagnetic radiation on the brain. Before I get into that, let's talk about our brain. Now, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, I used to do what's called occupational first aid in the workplace. Achieved my highest level of certification, maintained that for 28 years. However, because I wanted to better help my fellow workers, and it's not all about fractures and lacerations and things like that, it's also medical emergencies. I did the equivalent of first year medical school because I wanted to know more about how we function, right down to our brain levels, as well as anatomy physiologically. So I have quite a bit of knowledge. I'm going to try and keep it simple. So our brain and our heart operate off of electrochemical impulses or signals. The brain sends signals through the autonomic nervous system, ANS. That system activates, sending an electrical pulse through the heart muscle, creating the heartbeats. The electrical impulses in the brain are responsible for transmitting information between neurons, which are nerve cells that send and receive signals from your brain, electrical signals. The neurons communicate electrochemically to enable you to think, feel, and to interact with the world around you. Now, because electrical charges are responsible for your brain's activity, electrical stimulation can in turn be used or result in changes to the brain's function. By intentional use, medically, the pros or the cons from electromagnetic radiation that comes in. So the brain actually generates its own electricity, enough to power a small light bulb, anywhere from 12 to 24 volts. So neurons in the brain communicate via electrical impulses that allow the brain to coordinate behavior, sensation, thoughts, and our emotions. Electrical stimulation of the brain is both, as I just said, positive and negative. There's positive uses, but there's also the negative uses, and this is what we're going to talk about today, not negative uses, the negative results. Now, for the most part, we humans, we can adapt to the terrestrial, down here on Earth, forms of radiation, most of us. But different energy disposition patterns, sources, intensity bursts, long duration exposures can have adverse effects. Please remember, our protective magnetic field is destabilizing and weakening because of the ongoing magnetic excursion, the excursion of the geomagnetic poles, leaving their more or less stable positions. This process, which happens every 12,000 years, which greatly weakens our protective shields, leaving us more vulnerable to solar particle events, such as we're experiencing right now, resulting in both acute and chronic CNS, central nervous system deficits problems. Now, there have been studies done on mice that have confirmed significant adverse effects of space, relevant influences of charged particles on cognition, as well as functional behavioral decrements, to the erosion of the neural structure and sympathetic integrity of our brain network. And to just specific regions of the brain. Now, this study was done on mice in the space weather environment, yes. But again, our protective magnetic field is weakening, leaving us more vulnerable to the electromagnetic radiation that hits us through the current radiation storm, proton storm, coronal mass ejections, the hard X-rays from large solar flares, etc. Also, galactic cosmic rays. We'll talk about that later. The study also revealed that adverse changes persisted long-term, well over a year. Permanent changes in the brain showing no signs of regeneration or recovery, no healing. So again, this is a study done on rodents. Now, our brains are more complex, and that's it. Our brains are more complex. So let's talk about the effects of electromagnetic radiation. Basically, people, it's the highly charged particles, mostly protons, some electrons. When you introduce that charge to our brain, we begin to malfunction. We experience the following: neurological. We can have headaches and migraines, frontal lobe tightness, compression, temporal stabbing, piercing pain. We can experience dizziness, vertigo, general feeling of unwell. This is becoming more common. Tinnitus, ringing in the ear, high-pitched. The movie Leave the World Behind. We can also experience visual problems. I'm going to have that as a separate video. The importance of protecting our eyes with UV-coated sunglasses. We can have joint pains, skin irritations, a burning sensation. That's also from increased levels of ultraviolet radiation coming in. We can have gastrointestinal disturbances, upset tummy, nauseous. We can have heart issues, palpitations, and awareness of your heart, arrhythmias, irregular heartbeats. It's not just from the substance introduced systemically. Multiple sclerosis and arthritis flare-ups. We feel fatigued, exhausted, tired, lethargic, sleep problems. Now let's talk about the neuropsychological effects. Perhaps more importantly, it can affect our moods, mood swings, become irritable, argumentative, easily triggered, increased sensitivity, confused, heightened levels of anxiety, depression, sadness, despair. Brain fogging, blanking out, or an overly active brain, racing thoughts. Behavioral changes, outbursts, rage, violence, killings, increased incidence of suicides, increased admission to hospitals, psych wards. Are common. It's not just the full moon. I've worked in a hospital. Cognitive changes. Our cognitive ability is our ability to learn, to memorize, decision-making, creative thinking, speaking, problem-solving, reasoning with people. All these can be effective. More importantly, when I speak of personal experiences, mental health issues. People already have mental health issues. Autistic spectrum disorder, ADHD, schizophrenia can be triggered and amplified. This is very important that we understand space weather and we get our notifications and we have the knowledge so we can better manage our children and other loved ones who have autism and other mental health issues. Monitor for the triggers, try and keep them isolated, keep them calm, plan a relaxing day for our children. Because when they go off, psychosis, psychotic events, extreme rage, violent, destructive behavior, it's not their fault. Have you also noticed increased incidence of road rage and unruly passengers on airline flights? So these are some of the things that we can experience. Now, there's acute responses, and then there's long-term, even a disability. So the acute responses. When a solar flare happens, that is the bright light that we see on the satellite images, that electromagnetic energy, that hard X-rays traveling at the speed of light, only takes 8 minutes to reach us. And if strong enough, and I said this before, this is a repeat, on the Halloween of 2021 in the morning, there was an X1.0 flare. Some people are stronger, some people are weaker. That hard X-ray hit. It hit my wife. We were in the bedroom. Suddenly. Sudden vertigo. Sudden dizziness. Almost collapsed right to the floor. She had to place herself against a wall to prevent herself from falling down. And I picked her up and put her in the bed, and after checking her vitals, I went straight to my smartphone because I knew exactly what happened. That's an acute sun. But prolonged exposure, such as we're experiencing now, the proton event, the solar radiation storm, which has been ongoing for about 24 hours now, approximately. It looks like it's still slowly rising. It hasn't leveled off yet. So we've had a continued absorption of the nasty energy, the nasty particles, the protons, the things our brains and our hearts we don't like. So if you're experiencing a continued nuisance headache, a pressure, lethargic, exhausted, fatigued, tired, joint pains, depressed, irritable, etc., that is why. So in my next video, I'm going to cover how these energetic particles reach us from solar flares, CMEs, proton events, which is a separate incident from coronal mass ejections, such as we're experiencing now, and etc. So I just want to concentrate on the effects of the highly charged particle the electromagnetic radiation has on us inhabitants. Now, there are studies out there. Some of the space weather professionals like to see peer-reviewed papers from their peers, right, to convince them. But you and I and the rest of us, we are our own peer-reviewed studies. We learn from each other. And this is very important. So this is going to conclude this first talk. What can we do to protect ourselves? Knowledge is key. Learning, knowledge. So when we know there's in advance that we're going to have space weather bombarding us, we can try and plan a more easy, non-stressful day. Try and be relaxed. Go for a swim. Read a book. Try and be relaxed. There are 3 materials that have shown to deflect this negative energy. One is water. I can't remember the depth, between 6 and 12 feet. Obviously, it's not practical to hold your breath that long. Second, concrete. So during an extreme event, a very extreme event, if there's a parkade in your area, multiple levels of concrete. So you want to find yourself maybe at the ground level. Parkade. And finally, polycarbonate materials. Hang on a minute, one moment. So polycarbonate materials is a plastic-based material used on greenhouses. I use them on all my raised bed and greenhouses. It's a twin wall, plastic-based material that is shown to deflect a lot of the energies, including ultraviolet radiation. All my vegetables do extremely well in the harshest of environment underneath my polycarbonate panels. Plan a day going to the nursery, greenhouse. Just plan a calm day when we know an event is coming. If you would have something more stressful planned, cancel it. Change it. Watch your children, regardless of whether or not they already have a mental health issue. Anybody in your family or friends who already have pre-existing cardiac conditions, watch them closely. Keep everybody hydrated, drink lots of water. Keep everybody at calm and at rest. This includes anybody who might be predisposed to having a CVA, cerebral vascular accident, a stroke, transient ischemic attack, little stroke. People with high blood pressure. Keep everybody at calm, at rest. This concludes this video, 19 minutes, and I'll see you back soon.